You know, a good reminder from Genesis chapter 1, verse 3 is God always pierces the darkness, always. And the darkness doesn't last.
And the high priest, the great high priest who is Jesus Christ, he puts his hands on your life and you take your hands off and you say, my life is surrendered for your purposes.
I want to welcome everybody back to another episode of the Downline podcast. We hope that this helps you faithfully walk with Jesus while pouring your life into others. No introductions needed this week. This is part 2 of my conversation with Greg Smalley. Greg, thanks for sticking around.
Oh, I love it. Thanks. So this has been a great conversation. I wish we could do 4 episodes.
Oh my gosh, it'd be so much fun. So listen, we ended last time kind of talking about you don't value yourself enough to take care of yourself, which then you don't really have anything to meaningfully give away and sacrifice. Yep. To go back, so that was kind of the lies 2 and 4 combined. Let me jump back to number 3. And this, by the way, is very dominant in our cultural ethos and in our churches, but all you need is love. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, we don't define what love is. We don't even know what we mean by that. It's kind of this squishy, emotional, whatever. But what is the lie behind all you need is love?
That if all I'm ever focused on is getting people then to love me, that at some point in time we've been sold this idea that I need to get my wife, I need to get someone, so fill in the blank, to love me. And the fact is that there is not a single verse in the Bible that says that I need to get people to love me. What it says is that God so loved me. It says that because God loved me, I then get to love. God calls us beloved, which means much loved.
Yep.
You know, there's so God recognizes our insecurity around love, and he constantly is reminding us
That's good.
that he has met our need to feel loved completely. It's already done. We don't see that. We don't feel it. We miss it. We believe something else. So then in marriage, now my goal is to get you to love me versus really recognizing and settling into the truth that I am already fully loved. I don't have a hole in my heart around love. God's done that. So what it means then is I get to then really spend my time, effort, and energy loving. My wife is my closest neighbor, my kids, others. You know, you think about our wedding vows. You know, we stood up at the altar, and I pledged that I was going to love my wife, honor her, cherish her, do all these things. But nowhere in there was a part of the vows going, and by the way, and I agree that she's going to, you know, fill in the blank. So I think a part of it is this understanding that God is love. That when I talk about love, that's all coming from him. My job is to make sure that my heart stays open to him, that I am constantly recognizing he's my source, that I've learned how to go to him to make sure that I am full, whole, healthy, well cared for, full of his love, so that I can turn right around and then give that out. But I think part of the lie is that somehow either I have something to do with love, or I'm not loved, so I've got to spend all my time, effort, and energy getting Aaron, getting others to love me so that I feel fulfilled. That's the lie.
Well, and even if that worked, the detrimental part is I wouldn't believe it was real anyways because I kind of forced you into it.
Right. It's such a lie, because there's all then you would do is spend your time manipulating and controlling someone to do what you think they should be doing, which is to love me in the way that I want to be loved. It's going, first of all, God's already met that need in our life. So lean in and do some work around that to where you really see it and receive it, so that I'm not then looking to my wife. Aaron, I always tell people, I love my wife. I want to spend the rest of every day with her until the Lord brings me home. I always tell her selfishly, I want to die first. I don't want to live a life that you're not a part of this. But I don't need my wife. I love her, want her, don't need her. I need God. That's the genesis of that lie. is that somehow we've bought into that I need you. Like when we work with couples, and I hear this all the time, well, I have these needs and I need this person, to do this, that. You hear it a lot around sex. I need sex.
Yeah.
I get that sex is a huge desire and a huge want. It is for me.
Yeah.
But I've never heard that someone died because they didn't
Mm,
get sex.
mm. Yeah.
So let's not call it a need. A need is something that our well-being is at stake. Water, air, shelter, God's
Sure.
love.
Sure.
But let's quit using this terminology that, well, Aaron, I need that. No, I need God and I need all that from him. I
Mm,
want. So here's what I want from you to feel really,
yeah.
well cared for within our relationship. That's fine. But that's not manipulative. That's just me saying, Aaron, when you do these things, man,
Yep.
I love it when you do that. But I don't need that. I need God. And it's
Well,
just, you see, it's that subtle difference.
well, it is a subtle difference and a powerful one, though, and it segues into the another one that says you must meet each other's needs. That
Right.
distinction between a need and a desire, because needs are crushing, right? Like none of us can live underneath the weight of someone needing things that we can't actually give. And we'll try and we'll exhaust ourselves, and then you just feel like you fail over and over and over again. Uh, but maybe that distinction between need and desire, because I mean, I've had so many couples in my office over whatever 20 years of pastoral ministry where she's not, I need to feel loved, I need security, and it's all, you kind of go, those are really important. Those are desires, and those would be great. But help us understand need versus desire, and maybe are we putting on our spouses, maybe you and me included, things that they just weren't meant to carry.
100%. That's it. The difference is a need is something that I must have, or my very well being, my life is at stake. A want, a desire is a preference, is something that's super important to me. That when it's happening, oh man, that does so many good things for me. But I'm not going to die
Mm,
without it. Because otherwise, if I think that Aaron needs to do A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z, then I am justified. If it's a true need, then I have every right to demand that she
mm,
provides and meets that need.
yeah,
That's the problem. That's where we see it. So
that's a
then
good
I'm
point.
going to spend my time, effort, and energy trying to get Aaron to do what I think she needs to do in my life versus going, no, God has met our need to feel loved. That's him. That he is my source in life. He says it in Psalms that
Mm,
he sustains me. That the greatest commandment, love God and others as you love yourself. Taking good care of yourself means that I'm plugging into the Lord, getting those things. I always tell people, if you want this, how are you doing that for you first and foremost?
mm.
If I'm saying, Aaron, I need to
Yeah,
be
talk more about
affirmed.
that.
Well, if I started my marriage with Erin, telling her that I brought in this wound, this baggage, based on some choices in my life as a young man that I felt failed.
Mm,
So I believe that Erin's job was to meet my need for affirmation. You need to make me feel successful. That's what you do as
mm,
a wife. And so I would put that on her. So how that played out is that she might bring up a tough issue, a frustration, maybe something's going on in our marriage, and then I would say to her, hey, whoa, hold on. Okay, so before you criticize me, so I heard it all as criticism, even if she's just expressing, a
sure.
frustration. So I would then try to coach her up to go, there's this thing called the praise sandwich. Start off.
The Philemon sandwich. That's the
Right,
Philemon sandwich.
right,
Yeah.
right. Point out something I'm doing well, then share your frustration and end with it. It all was me controlling and manipulating her to do this thing in my life that I wasn't doing for myself, that I certainly wasn't looking to deal with that
Mm,
between me and the Lord. And so I put that on her. That's not her job. As Aaron's my greatest assistant, I am her greatest assistant. There are so many things that she does to speak love into my life. That's great. God uses her in mighty
Mm.
ways, but she was never designed to meet, the needs in my life. Now, is that a strong desire? Can I say to her, man, when you affirm me, oh, I cannot tell you how that speaks to
Right.
my heart in what that feels like. And Aaron, anytime you're up for it, I'll take as much affirmation from you as I can get. Like, that's fine. But I know how to go to the Lord to feel affirmed. I know how to affirm
Mm.
myself. And wherever I go, there I am, me and God, there we are together. I
Mm.
can do that job so that I don't end up with this big hole in my heart that only can be filled by Aaron. It's just, that's where we get off. I love, the feeding of the 5,000.
Mm.
You know, the beautiful miracle that Jesus does, in providing the bread and the fish and all, the 5,000 who were fed. At the end of the day, 12 disciples, 12 baskets full left over of bread and fish, which to me is that beautiful image of abundance that God has in store for us. But what I love about that story, in addition, is that Jesus continued to notice when he was poured out.
Mm.
And instead of saying to the disciples, you need to take care of me, I'm worn out, you need to fill my life back,
Yeah, that's a
whatever,
good point.
what did he do? He went out into the boat, spent
Yep.
time in prayer. After the miracle, loaded the disciples up in a boat, sent them on so he could go up into the mountains and spend some time getting recharged and refilled through his relationship with his heavenly Father, like ours. It's just a great example of going,
It is.
man, pour out, pour out, pour out. But people aren't the ones responsible to ultimately fill you up. That's between you and the Lord.
Mm.
And Jesus modeled that perfectly, and let's do that.
Well, and if we put it in the need category, I mean, it's just so crazy what happens inside of marriages, right? Now I assume you know it's a need and you're intentionally not meeting it, and now I'm bitter
Right,
because you know I need this thing,
right.
and
And it's
that's
your job.
yeah, it's your job, and yeah, super
That's
destructive.
the lie. Yep.
That's the lie. Yeah. Okay, here's another one, right? So if it's not infidelity or abuse and a couple's gonna divorce, let's just slap irreconcilable differences on it as this kind of blanket label to cover everything. And you say, love lie number 6, our differences are irreconcilable. So I feel like you're hitting this kind of idea head on. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think our culture, like you're saying, we even use the phrase irreconcilable differences as for divorce. The truth is, God beautifully created us different, me different, Aaron so
Mm.
different. The differences, God's created order, the differences are never the problem. So the
Mm.
differences is not the problem. It's how Aaron and I manage those differences. That can be the challenge and the
Sure.
problem. But somehow we now look at the differences that's the problem. If you just weren't so different, if we were more similar, that's the lie.
Mm.
God made us the way he made us, and he said that was good. Male and female, the way he made us, that's
Yes.
a beautiful thing. That is, man, I'm so grateful that Aaron and I are different, because otherwise one of us wouldn't be necessary,
Mm.
so to speak, in our marriage. I love that Aaron is an extrovert, I'm an introvert. Well, do you not think that that's going to create a lot of challenges?
Oh, there'll be some friction.
Oh my gosh, when she wants people over, all the time, and I'm like, I
Yeah, this
hate
is
people.
my
Why do
house.
we have
This is
to?
my house.
Right.
Yeah, that's
And,
right.
and so if I then start to go, well, God, if you just wouldn't have made her so extroverted,
Mm.
then life would be easier. Versus going, God, thank you for making her extroverted. That enriches my life. Look what it's done.
Mm.
Now, God, how do I manage it when I'm faced with, should we have people over tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always say there's got to be room for both people within the marriage. Both have to matter. Both are valuable,
Mm.
made in God's image, different because he created us that way. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's just learn in those moments where those differences inevitably will bump into each other, let's just figure out, how do we manage that? How do we go back and repair
Mm.
when those differences are poorly handled by one or both? So it's just that's the lie. Satan wants us to think that
That's right.
you and how God created you is bad and not healthy for me, versus thank God for the way you've been created. Now let's learn how to manage this better.
Well, and I think for Shannon and me too, one thing that you learn over, I mean, we're what, 12 and a half years in, is going, sometimes you really do need someone, a third party outside of yourselves, to just
Totally.
kind of show you where you're missing it, right? And
Right.
where you're not thinking about it clearly, and so even as we keep going through this, maybe I'll just pause to say, like, this is a great podcast. It's a great conversation. It's a great book. But don't maybe expect you can sit down and read it, or your husband or wife sits down and read it, and now y'all are completely equipped to navigate all of these lies just by yourself, right?
Right. We I mean, it certainly can open your eyes to some of how Satan attacks us by wanting us to buy into the lie. He's the father of lies. But like you're saying, we love having a small group. We have a marriage small group
Hmm.
because we get into these things. We talk about the lies. We honestly share. Okay, yesterday we got in this big argument, and I think she's at fault here. What, we need that. We need to have our pastors that we can go to. We need our mentors. We need
Hmm.
our counselors. God created marriage as a team sport.
Hmm.
It's not an individual sport. And I have a good friend, Pastor Ted Cunningham, who says that marriage is like a duet in need of backup singers. So
Hmm.
we've got to have people speaking into our lives. So that's why it's fun to take a book like this and get 3, 4 other couples and say, man, let's be real. Let's go through it. What if this is a lie? How does that manifest in our marriage? In how do we grow and learn? Because
Yeah,
we want to be operating within God's truth. So within the book, it's always, here's the lie, but here's God's truth, and here's practically then how we did that. So you're right.
that's
We've
good.
got to have. It takes a village, right, to
It
raise
does.
a marriage.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of backup singers, I had three of mine on the way to school this morning, and we crushed some Forrest Frank together
There
on the
you
way to
go.
school. Yeah,
There
and
you go.
great
See,
harmony, great
that
harmony.
that it's good to sing along with old
Yeah.
Forrest.
Hey, lie number 7, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's this idea: I'm gonna make you love me. Which, by the way, as a Southerner, I love that you actually wrote "gonna" and not "going to," because that's the heart language. But I'm gonna make you love me. Why does that not work?
It just, because it ends up then placing this burden on someone that they've never been meant to
Mm,
carry.
mm,
That I'm going to make you love me in the ways that I believe. Kind of, we've already been. I'm sorry. It's the 9. It's hard to keep them all separate.
well,
They
they run
blend
together for
together. They
sure.
do.
Yeah.
And so we kind of talked about this idea that I have these needs in my mind that only you can satisfy. So I'm going to get you, I'm going to manipulate you, I'm going to control you, I'm going to nag until you do what I want you to do.
Mm,
And it doesn't work. And
mm,
it sets us up so poorly, as individuals. And so again, the art is accepting that God meets my needs within my marriage. He's going to use my spouse to do that, certainly, but I want to learn how to recognize, what are these deep desires. Use Gary Chapman's love language.
yeah.
I mean, go through the 5 and go, how, between, first and foremost, how am me and God meeting this need in my life?
Mm, mm,
That's, if my love language is time together, well, am I spending time with the Lord?
mm.
Am I spending time with me, journaling what's going on in my life? I
That's a
mean,
good point.
we laugh at that idea of going, what do you mean between, how can I meet my needs between me and the Lord? Well, tell me a need in your mind, and I'll talk to you about, what does that look like for you to provide that,
Yeah.
and for you to go to the Lord with that affirmation. Man, God says a whole lot about us
Whole
in
lot
His
about you.
Word. Are we going through that to
Yeah.
unpack that and receive that. So it's learning who's responsible at the end of the day for me. I am,
Yes.
between me and the Lord.
Yes.
And then it's inviting Aaron then is the greatest, most loving assistant that I have on my journey, to be a part of that, knowing that we've got a marriage that we've got to both take care of as well. So there's always the two individual journeys and then our marriage journey that all need to be well cared for and attended to.
Okay, so then segue into this one, because I've actually never, this is one of the ones where I'm going, I've never heard anybody say this. And I love that you capture it. And maybe they've said it in their own way, but your love is driving me crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Talk about that one.
It's again, it's this idea that who you are, how you're showing up, it's all of what you want, all of that stuff ends up, you drive me crazy with that stuff. And it's literally, we teach a thing called the reactive cycle.
Yes.
In what's so helpful about that is that we all have wounds and baggage we bring in. We call them buttons. These are just deeper sensitive emotions that are going to get triggered, and then you will then react. So when Aaron pushes a button, I then react, and then we get into this crazy cycle of just buttons and
More
reactions.
reactions. Yeah. Yeah.
And so Aaron and I so poorly handled conflict early in our marriage that we had to eventually learn how do we understand what's really going on. That's
Mm.
why you can actually go to reactivecycle.com and
Okay.
take a free assessment that'll show you your buttons and your actions and how that creates this cycle, this dynamic
Oh, that's great to
of
know.
conflict. And so it's a free tool. Use it, reactivecycle.com.
That's
But
great.
it's when we get into that kind of that spin that it doesn't work, and I
Mm.
didn't know how to get out of it. So a lot of what we do then in the book is to teach you, okay, how do you break out of that?
Yeah.
And then, how do you eventually have a good conversation around your conversation, maybe then ultimately to figure out a solution that feels good to both of you.
Well, so thank you for sharing that. I didn't actually know that Reactive Cycle was an online tool. That's fantastic.
It's brand new. We
Oh,
just
that's
maybe
great.
within the last month or so just released it. So
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
great. Okay,
brand
look,
spanking new.
I've got to get you out of here in just a couple minutes. I'm gonna shelve lie number 9 because people need to buy the book and read it and invest and engage. Jen Wilkin reminded me recently, don't do for your students what they can do for themselves. So people can get it
There you go.
and dive in. Last words, if you have any, I think, we got 3 minutes here. If you could give one final kind of pulling it all together, couples that maybe they feel like they're in crisis or they feel stuck, do you have any words of encouragement or exhortation to close our time together?
Yeah, the really the hope is when we start operating within God's design for marriage, which is two full, whole, healthy individuals totally plugged in to Him, getting sustained by Him, that when then we then enter into our connection, our relationship
Mm,
together, that we just again keep growing, keep learning how do we have a marriage that we both love. And
mm,
how we do that is to make sure the two individuals are well cared for and that we're prioritizing then our relationship. So we are spending time together, we are talking, we are dealing with conflict, we are having sex, we are doing all these things to keep a marriage strong. But all three of those have to matter. That's the hope. That's what I see when we work with couples in intensive, when they really learn
mm,
how, okay, my journey with the Lord, first and foremost, has to be healthy and growing. I've got to be growing more like the Lord
mm.
in my life. So does Aaron. And so how do we support each other? Aaron, how can I best support you in your journey with the Lord? So
Yeah,
we're the best assistants on earth. Then we recognize we've got this marriage. And when two whole, full, healthy people come together, man, the
mm,
marriage relationship explodes as long as we're growing that as well.
that's right.
So a great
That's
marriage
right.
will never happen on its own. But from a base of two full, whole, healthy people sustained by the Lord, us investing in our time together and having fun and doing all that stuff, that's what God designs for our marriage. That's how we take our marriage from bad or from good to great.
I so appreciate all your words and your time. Hey, if you feel stuck or in crisis, this book's a great starting point. Check out Focus on the Family's Hope Restored Marriage Intensives as well. Incredible, meaningful work there. Greg, thanks again.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Downline podcast. Please subscribe and go down and rate us and give us 5 stars. Help us get this content out to as many people as possible as we hope to continue to equip men and women to join the Great Commission as we make disciples for a lifestyle as a lifetime.